when I was doing open mics, like 5, 6 years ago, not that long ago, I
Yeah.
looked at the comedy scene in Australia, and this is one of the main reasons I wanted to have you on, because you're a veteran of the circuit. And I looked at the scene and I was like, man, I'm just some straight white dude who says offensive material. I've got no chance of being on Channel 10. So what's, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that is such a difficult task for someone who looks like me and speaks like me. Like, I've tried to write clean material. I'm not clever enough. All right. I'm just not smart enough. So
Well, I don't write clean material either, but I
no,
don't like clean material.
no, nor do I. My brain doesn't work like that. But as a young person looking at that, I'm just like, well, where do I fit in here? And that's why I turned
Yeah.
to the internet.
Yeah. Well, there is no getting on the fucking Channel 10. I mean, we don't even have comedy on television anymore.
Mm.
There were, at least when I was coming through, there was Rove, so you could do a spot, and there was always that option, and they'd have one every week. So there's at least 50 opportunities for a comedian. And there was a couple of shows like that, but now there's nothing. There's no. If you do get on television, they got you baking a fucking cake or doing anything other than what you're good at. Not highlighting your skills as a comedian.
And there's no. And when you do have the gala on Channel 10, it's all, and I always say it's the same jokes. It's not the same jokes, but it's a similar vein. Like, there's no one pushing boundaries or running anything risky. And that's just not something that I overly enjoy. When I started watching, sorry, go. When I started watching stand-up, I was watching Billy Connolly. And then when I got older, I was watching people like Jim Jeffries with Alcoholocaust. I thoroughly enjoyed that special. Yeah. And that sort of gave me the idea of, okay, I can be an asshole, but if I write clever jokes, I can be an asshole on stage and get away with
it. Yeah, look, my character is a total dick. My character on stage, he's just a fucking dick, and that's what makes it funny.
Yeah.
It's so long as people. I think today too, a lot of comics, a lot of people believe that what the comic is saying, they are actually that person. They believe that, and I guess to a certain extent, a lot of comics do. But for me, it's all fucking make believe and hypotheticals and taking the piss out of myself or someone else.
Well, I guess here's a question for you, because I'll talk about what happened this week with Me Too in a moment, but well, not with Me Too. Thankfully, I haven't been Me Too'd yet. I'm sure there's time. But do you think in comedy you can punch down if it's funny?
Well, yeah, I absolutely.
Thank fuck.
I think you can do anything. I think it's the harder you go, the funnier it has to be. But you can do anything. I laugh at some of the darkest things. It's but then when I grew up with baby jokes. Remember dead baby jokes?
Everywhere.
And they were fucking awful, but that's why they were funny.
Yes.
They were the absolute worst thing you could possibly say. And it's what we laughed at.
Yeah, and it's like
shocking.
The way I tried to, and my big thing this week, if you haven't seen anything on my channel, is I did a joke about the New Zealand massacre, a very full-on situation, and made light of it. Now, I said that, and when I wrote that, I thought to myself, fuck, that is so horrible and mean and rude. And I had that sort of laugh in the back of my head. I was like, oh, fuck, people are going to fucking hate me for that. And then I go out and do it, and everyone has the same reaction. They go, oh, that's horrible. And then they laugh. I did that in Melbourne at the Comedy Festival last year. I think it was 3 or 4 weeks after it had taken place. And every single night, people stopped, groaned and then started laughing and then had an applause break after every show. Now, I don't want to be a dickhead and say, oh, I got an applause break, but they did. And that proves the point that, yes, in fact, it was funny. People laughed at it. And that has to be the guide for what you tell on stage. If people laugh, then it's funny.
Well, I saw that bit and I saw it get a big laugh. What I think it means too, some people won't find it funny, that's fine. But what you're doing is you're entertaining your audience. This idea that you have to also cater for an audience that isn't even in your audience is bullshit.
Yeah.
People who don't like the joke will never probably like your comedy anyway. No. Why pander to that if they're not going to see you? This idea that we have to look out for an audience that's not even our fucking audience. And find our own audience, I wouldn't, like, if I turned up to you and saw, say, in the net, I would be pissed off. I would expect dark comedy from. Or if you come to my show, my fans expect me to
Yeah.
be wrong.
And that's what people expect from me now and have since they first saw me. When I first did my first tour around Australia, people weren't too sure because they'd only seen this dude on like the
Yeah,
internet. And then
yeah,
afterwards, they're like, okay, we sort of get who he is. And I think that's important to sort of set. I mean, you know, I'll just tell jokes that I think are funny, regardless of whether
yeah,
they make people happy, sad, or whatever. But the thing that I think blew everything up and blew everything out of the water was the guy who shared it. He bought my special and then screen recorded it and
yeah,
then posted it out on Twitter. So all these people who may happen to be Muslim or may happen to be New Zealanders who are affected by this horrible thing, they're just getting this sent to them or seeing it on their Instagram or in someone else's story. And all they're seeing is Isaac Butterfield, horrible man. They watch it and they go, yeah, he is a fucking horrible man. Like
yeah.
completely out of context.
Yes. Well, that's the thing. You've got to watch the whole show to get an idea of the character you're dealing with.
Hmm.
I mean, if you just watch the joke, it looks like it's a fucking TED talk and you're just saying something horrible.
Yeah.
If you watch the whole thing, you go, okay, this guy, that's what he does.
That's
He
the
takes
type of
time.
humor.
Yeah.
It's like-
It really surprises me that people take humor so seriously. It's a joke. You
Well-
don't have to laugh at it, but you don't get to bitch and moan about it either.
some of the main offenders when it came to people who were really upset and people who really broke down the joke, which I was just fascinated by how many people broke it down syllables by syllable. I was like, fuck, I said it. And then I moved on within a second. It was a 10-second bit. Stop fucking looking at it that hard. It was other comedians, people from Sydney, main offenders from Melbourne, your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I know. They're fucking precious down here.
What's going on in Melbourne? Like that scene is
Fucking
just
awful.
heinous.
The scene is fucking awful. Well, I came from Sydney. I started in Brisbane, lived in Sydney, moved down to Melbourne. Some really good comics down here, but a lot of shit too. It's a lot of very beige and vanilla and the same old, same old. Everyone wants to get offended. Nothing gets me more angry than a comic telling me that I can't do a joke. It's like, fuck off. You're in the same business. Don't tell me what I'm doing. You decide not to do it. That's fine, but just let me do whatever I'm going to do.